Sorry about that. Now we'll call to order a special city council meeting for Monday, June 1st, 2021. Cindy, can you call the roll, please?
Brecken,
Here, Douglas, Allegan County, Michigan.
Dean,
Here, Saugatuck, Allegan County, Michigan.
Leo,
Here, Saugatuck, Allegan County, Michigan.
Lewis,
Here, Saugatuck, Allegan County, Michigan.
Peterson,
Here, Saugatuck, Allegan County, Michigan.
Truster,
Here, Saugatuck, Allegan County, Michigan.
and Stanton.
Here, Saugatuck, Allegan County, Michigan.
Okay, we have a full council present. Will we be adding anything to the agenda? Ryan?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
All right. Moving on to, I guess we'll follow. Do we have any outside other than John? Do we have any other participants here? People on the
We
meeting?
do not.
Okay, so we'll just, someone pops in, we'll let them, they want to address council, they can do it on item 5. Moving on to unfinished business. Resolution up for consideration 210601-A Campbell Road grant support. Ryan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thanks, council, for getting together in short notice. So you've seen this before. This is the grant that we're applying for. The due date is today. So I apologize for getting you all together so quickly. But the recommendation and the description is in the agenda packet. Ultimately, we're making a recommendation to approve resolution 210601-A in support of applying for $86,500 to MDOT for the Campbell Road project.
All right. Thank you. John, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just on the amount, the application is very similar. And Ryan, maybe I have a typo. This year's application is for $92,000.
Okay, we'll get that corrected.
But just big picture, the game plan hasn't really changed for Campbell. Our strategy is to apply for this grant, and we should know back middle of July if everything goes to plan. If we don't get the grant, the plan is to proceed and try and get it built this fall. If we do get the grant, we would build it in spring of 2022. It's not to say that we'd have to build it this fall. You've all seen what the construction industry has done this year. We will definitely take another look at, does it make sense to try and bid this over the summer months when contractors have a full plate, or should we go back to the normal winter bidding routine? So we'll stay in touch with you on that, but that's currently the strategy right now. A couple other notes that have changed during the preliminary design process. We have reacted to the fact that we've found some lead water services on Campbell Road. So our current estimates include replacing those lead water services as part of this project, which we will have to do to get our permit from Eagle. That doesn't really affect this grant because this grant is focused just on the road, eligible road costs, but that's part of it. And then we've also looked at widening the shoulders slightly from previous iterations of this project, just to make it a little more walkable, similar to kind of what we're looking at on Park Street. This one's a little less challenging than Park Street, so that's currently the plan there. And then one last one, the work that Douglas did in their ditching efforts have all but resolved, I think completely resolved maybe, the seepage that was coming out of the hill. So we have scaled back what we're doing on the hill itself. So those are the major changes from when you've seen it last, when we talked about it last. But any questions you folks have, I'm all ears.
I have one, if I may.
Scott, sure.
Thank you. John, is there a plan in the design to add some more robust storm sewer system in that build?
We certainly could when we were going to be reconstructing the hill, that was part of it. If it's needed somewhere, we can certainly look at that. Right now we have kind of plans to a preliminary stage. So the next step would be getting together with staff probably and looking at things just like that to see if we have to add some things or change some things.
Great, thank you.
Picking up on that, since I drive that road numerous times a day, speaking to the drainage issue, a couple questions I have observing this over the last close to 40 years. Scott, are you referring to the pooling at the bottom of the hill on the west side of or the east side of Campbell Road there? I think, you know what I mean? There's oftentimes, on occasion, flooding down there. And that really is both on the Saugatuck side and on the Douglas side along the Park Ferry intersection. I know we try to capture the road, the drainage on both sides of the road, coming down. I'm just thinking this is runoff. It's coming right straight down Campbell Road, just the road bed itself. I don't know if that's what you're, referring to or not.
Yeah, that's part of it. I think that, John, like you said, maybe we could take a look, before the design is finished. And there's some areas where, you get this mixture of clay content, soil and sand, and sometimes just runoff from the street surface isn't sufficient, and there's some pooling on the sides. So I know of some areas that we should probably take a look at before the design is finished.
Yeah, we can certainly do that. I'll warn you that there isn't much in the way of a drainage system along Campbell. So we may be a little limited in what our solutions are, but yeah, definitely we'll incorporate things if we can.
Mayor, this is Garn. A question for John and or Scott as Ryan's going through those pictures. It's more towards the end, Ryan, at the bottom of the hill. I think there's a good picture there at the end, right? Yeah, pretty close to there. So if you see where the arrow is down there, I was walking Park Street the other day and it looks like there was some kind of work done. There's a cone there and the pavement probably needs to be replaced or fixed or mended. There's a nice, I don't know, some kind of construction was going on. I didn't know if that was related to drainage at all and might have alleviated the problem that Mark was talking about.
Yeah, the yacht club there had a problem with their sewer lateral, and so they had to fix it, which involved cutting into the street, and that is scheduled to be repaired early this week, I believe.
Okay, because I also happened to run into our very good friend Neil, who was not happy with that. I'm like, Neil, I'm sure we're going to get it fixed, so I'll let him know.
But yeah, it wasn't ideal to have that there for the holiday weekend, and we tried our best to get it done last week, but it's in the works.
All good. Thank you.
Okay, that is a good shot, because the pooling I'm referencing to is right along the yellow sign there. Of course, I don't know what you can do, to be honest with you. They've already dug down and put a lot of stone in that area. I don't know if that was done by the one or both cities or by the property owners there. And that's really kind of the telephone pole there, the power pole you'd see is kind of the actual property line there between Saugatuck and Douglas. So the condos to the right there are in Douglas. There's 2 homes to the left before the yacht club. Those are in Saugatuck. So that's kind of, if you need that for reference. But, and if I can, if you want me to be included on that walk around, I'd do it. I mean, like I said, I've been there a long time, saw a lot of different types of conditions on that road over the years. So.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mark, because we don't often get to see it in the rain and understand how things are working kind of on that local level there. So that would be really helpful.
Right. And I also think that on the south side of the road there, where Douglas has done some excavation to relieve the weeping of of the surface water through the road, I hope that somehow can be enhanced or maintained somehow, or deepened, or whatever, but that sure has solved that problem. And it's just seen nothing more than underground drains being clogged up, I think, with muck and dirt and other debris. So, all right. Any other council questions regarding this?
No, Mayor, if you'd like, I'll go ahead and make a motion for us.
Sure.
I move to approve resolution 210601-A in support of applying for a $92,000 in funding through MDOT from the Transportation Economic Development Category B program to construct resurfacing improvements on Campbell Road between McVeigh Drive and Park Street in cooperation with the city of Douglas.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Lewis, seconded by Peterson, to approve the resolution as presented. One other question I have for John. This is ramped up cost-wise from what we saw, the first preliminary estimates. What was it, about 2 years ago, maybe? Year and a half ago? Is that COVID-related, work-related, and trying to break out the costs for the lead services?
Yeah, all of the above. The lead services was probably the biggest increase. And again, that's on the water side of the ledger. We had a moderate increase, I would say, on the road costs. We removed a lot of the work on the hill, but then we're widening at the same time, plus general inflation in construction that we're trying to capture. So the net result of all of those things is basically the increase that you see. But yeah, all of the above have definitely impacted our budget.
Okay. Well, it's got to get done, and it's on the agenda. So no further council questions. Would Cindy please call the roll?
Lewis,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Truster,
Yes.
Stanton,
Yes.
Leo,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
and Beckon.
Yes. Motion passes unanimously. Any other council comments before I ask for adjournment?
Just really quick, Mayor, sorry, while we're here, it's very timely after this. I don't know about the rest of you, but if you weren't downtown, it was very busy, even yesterday, and it was great. As a business owner, I don't know about Lauren, she can probably attest, we were slammed in a good way. Coming back and forth, I was astounded at the back-to-back literal traffic on Blue Star. First on, I think it was Thursday late, maybe Friday, and then yesterday heading the other way, heading south, back to back to back. And I think we had an accident on Old Allegan and Blue Star again. Yeah, so it's just the beginning. It's going to be quite the summer.
If I could add to that just briefly, we came upon that accident almost when it happened on Allegan and Blue Star, and it was pretty serious. And it brought to mind again the discussion that we had about actually putting a stoplight there as opposed to Lake and Blue Star. That is a very dangerous intersection because of the hill, because of the speed of the traffic. It was pretty bad. Fortunately, I don't think anyone was seriously injured, but the parties in the accident were pretty shook up.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you. This is Chris. I drove that this morning. I had to drop some things off, and there was very little traffic, but they still come so fast. I know that going to get a stoplight there requires quite a bit of study, but even if we could get Allegan County to put a 35-mile zone coming up, or start the 35-mile a little sooner. There's a pedestrian walkway sign right there. Put it right after that. Slow it coming around that curve. If we could just even try that with Allegan County to see if that would help.
Yeah, I'll defer to Cindy since that intersection is in Saugatuck Township, and I see her agreeing that something needs to be reviewed there. You want to share something, Cindy?
Well, I think that it would be important to either have a light there, especially with the trail development, the bike trail development. It seems to be the correct location to break up the traffic as it comes to Lake and to slow it down as it comes to Lake. There is a 35-mile-an-hour ahead sign there, but somebody uses that Lake intersection every day when I go home. Those cars are booking when they come around that curve and they can't see. I think it would be a good place to put our radar signs. So
Yeah.
that's my comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the
agree
same
with
thought.
that.
Yeah.
You know, and if we coordinated the timing of that light with the one in Douglas on Center Street, you create gaps in traffic and really help the Lake Street intersection.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would just add that I would like to see more data before we decide which intersection or how we proceed with each intersection, because I'm still concerned about density of the flow at Lake in terms of people and not just cars. And also, I wonder for Old Allegan if we could have a flashing 35-mile-an-hour sign, because it is sort of lost, especially on tourists, that they need to slow down in that area. I agree with what everyone has said.
Are you referencing Blue Star, Holly?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I think we may just have to buy another one of those signs and
Yeah, I mean, I think
place
they,
it prior to Maple Street. I think we've mentioned that before, but we just kind of ran out of signs. So,
Just something I'd like to add. A compromise that I think would be a pretty great compromise is the possibility of a light at Old Allegan and Blue Star and some sort of a pedestrian crossing at Lake and Blue Star. Maybe that would be a nice compromise there. Secondly, if I could change the subject real quick, cell service was horrible this weekend. Couldn't get a hold of anyone ever, and it was important for our business and it was a little challenging. So if there's any updates on cell service that could help us, it's already really bad.
I think Cindy's working on a couple of concepts that she's going to be sharing with us at a future workshop. Correct, Cindy?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
oh, yeah,
Thanks.
Mayor, all good points, but for an action though, I really liked Cindy's comment earlier about another radar sign on Blue Star. Is that something we should be talking to us and or the township about? You know, we've ponied up a lot for ours and I think they're working well in town, but it's action here for us to try to see if we can get one of those radar feedback signs in one of these problem locations on Blue Star.
Well, my comment on it, Scott, is the current speed limit is 50 on Blue Star until you hit Old Maple Street, which is also the reduction to 35 and is also the city limits. So I could see a compromise if somehow the 35-mile-an-hour could be pushed back to before Old Allegan
Yeah.
intersection. But we're talking a lot of time working those details out where I don't know, maybe we just order the sign first and go to those other options after the sign gets installed. I would think as far as at least addressing it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I can support that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Scott.
No,
Sometimes-
that's my point. Something that we
Yeah.
can do quick, something that we can action quickly because I
Yeah.
think it's a developing problem. Yeah.
Yeah, and we got another budget, we're working on a budget going into July 1st. So it would be easy to add a couple signs in there. Even if we order them now, they can still be applied to next year's budget. So what do you think, Ryan?
I don't hear any objections.
All right, so
So
you'll
we
be,
got consensus.
yeah,
Can I just ask real quick about Dick Waskin's idea of having a temporary light at Lake and Blue Star? Is that a conversation that we're having with MDOT or?
Yeah, so Brian, I'll tee this one up if you don't mind. When this first came up, because it was with Isabel's, I had some other conversation with MDOT, and basically you have to apply to MDOT for a temporary light because of the construction. I heard back from them and then sent it over to Ryan. But that's something that we can't really do. We can just let them know that we've got an issue here. And Ryan took it from there.
Yeah,
So
that's an amazing intersection, and it's really challenging because,
Yeah.
you know, the real backups seem to occur like from mid to late morning to mid to late afternoon, and then after, you know, when the people are pouring into town or pouring out of town, and you know, us locals know when not to come into town and when to come to town, or to go up over the hill on Maple Street. But yeah, I mean, when I came to town later in the day, it was fine getting in and out of there. It's amazing what kind of a jam up there is for those 4 or 5 hours in the middle of the day. But I guess that's something that I don't know. I guess John can at least do some research maybe and get back to us on the steps.
yeah, I would just add, Mayor, that it's not in C2AE, the bike trail engineering firm. It's not in their scope to fully study lights at either intersection. That was not part of the proposal that they signed on to. They will be looking at it to recommend it, but they're not going to be doing the sort of in-depth study that we may have hoped for. So we may need some coordination to get some data.
And
proceed.
to add the discussion about the pedestrian, notice now that Douglas has finally along Blue Star Highway and in several intersections in town, put the crossway signs. You see them in the middle there. I think on Lake Street, down below the hill, right by the entrance to East Shore Harbor, that would be a great location for that. Do a better job of painting the pedestrian crosswalk and maybe put signage before and, you know, both sides of that. I think that would be a big help. And I think that was either maybe Scott or Garnett were referring to earlier. I'd like to see that done. That's something that probably could be done pretty easily.
Yeah.
You know what we're talking about, Scott, Ryan? That does, I think that would help just from a pedestrian crossing standpoint. That is the pedestrian signage. Keep in mind, we used to have one, I don't know if you guys remember, but when they originally did the last construction project on a bridge, there was a pedestrian crosswalk across Lake Street at Blue Star to the other side, where it was like a crosswalk to nowhere, because there's hardly any room there to stand, let alone have a pedestrian. So that was eliminated for safety purposes. But I don't think we ever addressed it further down. So maybe that's something you put on your list, Ryan, to get maybe that. And I think that would be a real easy fix and provide some enhanced safety measures there.
Mr.
Okay,
Mayor?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you. This is the question for John. When you look at the data to put in a stoplight or not and try to capture what's happening, traffic flow on Blue Star, is there any place that keeps track of where the accidents happen? Are they happening because they're coming in too fast from Allegan, or because they're getting tail-ended from coming in from the other way on Blue Star? Do they track how the accidents happen?
Yes. There are, I think it's like 7 or 8 different warrants, they call it. One of them is just the volume of traffic. One of them is the amount of pedestrian traffic. One of them is crash concentrations, things like that. So yeah, that all goes into that study. And to Holly's point, what you probably need is more of a corridor study than an intersection study. When we were looking at Blue Star Trail, we were focused on the Lake Street intersection, but I think there is a good justification to kind of look at the corridor as a whole. And that would be one of the main things that would be looked at.
Thank you.
I would agree, John. I'd love to see us look holistically.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Mayor, just, I guess, one other thing, perhaps for Scott and Ryan's shopping list, is it worth getting one of those small kind of pylon crosswalk signs? You know, Douglas has them up and down their main drag. Should we get one at the T-junction of Main and Butler, because you got the restroom, you got the kids in the park? Is it worth just getting one of those? You know, it's like on like rubber, and then the pole sticks in. It's just the, you know, kind of remind drivers that there's a crosswalk there. Is it worth getting one of those for Butler Street?
I think it's worth maybe getting a half a dozen of them, keeping in a supply and use them you know, in certain areas. I think they do a good job of calming traffic.
That one T junction's always worried me because there's families with kids in the park, in the playground, and then there's the restrooms across the road from them.
Yeah, that Butler Street is a touchy spot too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually had a fatality there. We're probably within the last 10 years of I don't know if Chris and Ken were on council or not, but it was a skateboarder. Came right down that hill, right onto the intersection. got
Oh,
whacked.
yeah.
He was about 14 years old or something like that, a visitor to the town.
Hmm.
So that was pretty really unfortunate. But it actually led us to eliminate skateboards from downtown, by the way, on the roadways. There's actually, I think, an ordinance prohibiting them as a result of that. Okay, any other comments? John?
Just on a positive note, Father Corey and company did a really nice job with the Memorial Day remembrance yesterday morning. And I think it was really appreciated by a lot of folks, visitors, and a lot of folks that live here. So it was great we were able to get that approved for them, and they did a great job with it.
Yeah, good.
I would just add to that, there were so many people there, more than there usually were, and the clapping and the cheering, it was very nice.
Right, they kind of pulled it together, semi-impromptu parade, I would call it. But yeah, it was a very, very good event, very, very, very good for the community. If that wraps it up, John, thanks for attending, appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody, for attending off hours.
Yep. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion for adjournment of the meeting by Lewis, seconded by Dean. Clerk, please call the roll.
Lewis,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Stanton,
Yes.
Trester,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Leo,
Yes.
and Becken.
Yes. Again, thanks everybody for attending, and we'll be seeing you soon.
Right.
Bye, everybody.
Enjoy the warmer weather.
Thanks all.
Bye.